All right, cool. Well, thank you guys for coming out. We want to welcome Matt Kenseth, driver of the number 20 Dollar General Home Depot Toyotas for Joe Gibbs Racing. Matt has the best record out of any driver in the Sprint Cup Series here at Texas Motor Speedway. So I guess start off, talk about your test day. How's it been so far?
Well, it was up and down, ended down. We just had a tire problem, a crash, so we're done for the test. So I feel like we learned a few things. I didn't think it went great. The spring race here wasn't great, but typically it's been a good place for us. So Kyle won the race here last time, so working him a lot here, and hopefully we'll come back here next week and be all right.
All right, we'll take questions from Matt. So if anyone's got a question, just raise your hand and let them know who you are. All right, over here.
After the unusual circumstances surrounding the start of the chase this year, it seems like it's been a good chase. Was it important, you think, for the integrity of the sport to have 6 good races in a row and have a good chase to restore maybe integrity of the problem?
I didn't even rewatch the Richmond race or really see what all transpired there. So obviously I think everything that happened after adding a person and doing all that stuff was bad all around, for everybody. So I think everybody was happy to get that basically in the mirror and get racing. But I didn't really spend a lot of time thinking about it. Just kind of try to worry about our own team and try to work on the things that we need to work on and just kind of let happen there, whatever was going to happen.
All right, Stan.
Yeah, Matt, Stan Creekmore. I know, I'm not supposed to be here. Talladega, you looked really, really good. And then you had a problem at the end. We didn't get to talk to you after the race. And then after that, you were good at Charlotte, and this track is a lot like Charlotte. So even though you've had less than the test that you wanted, don't you feel good about coming back here?
Yeah, I feel decent about all the races coming up. I felt okay about Talladega before we got there too. So you never know what's going to happen. Every week is different. All the tracks are very unique. It looks like Charlotte from Google Earth, but it doesn't drive anything like it really with the pavement and the different tire and all the different things that go on here. So it's a great racetrack. I've always loved coming here, and look forward to coming here next week. Looking forward to Martinsville this weekend. So. Talladega wasn't good. It was very, very disappointing finish in the way that all ended up in that whole last thing there. So, but it could be worse. We're still close. We're still in it. We got 4 weeks to the rest of the
Talk about just the importance of this track. Everybody's here. Obviously, it's a very, very important step towards getting the championship. Why do you guys do this so important?
Well, all 10 races are equally as important. They all pay the same amount of points. Every point is counted equally at the end of the year. So I don't think it's any more or less important than any other racetrack. Really, why everybody ended up testing here, for most, not everybody. Why so many teams ended up testing here, I'm not really sure. So anyway, with most people testing here in the way the testing policy has worked, in my opinion, it'd be the same not having it. It gave most of the cars that were racing an extra 3 days of testing, and if we didn't have it, we'd all have the same practice time anyway. So I have mixed feelings, I guess, on testing, but everybody wants to run good. When they come here, it's a big race. There's 5 mile and a halves, in the chase. So I think people look at this and look at Homestead and try to spread their tests out a little bit too when this one comes a little bit later.
Steve?
Matt, Stephen Hawkins at AP. You alluded to the crash. Anything that concerns you about the tire problem, or can you kind of expand on what happened?
Well, yeah. I mean, when you run 9 laps and one blows apart for no reason, that's always a cause for concern for sure. Yeah.
Carlos?
Matt, Carlos Mendez, Star Telegram, Fort Worth. You mentioned the points are equal in every race, but naturally, as you get toward the end of the schedule, does the pressure of the stakes for each race kind of increase just because there's fewer left?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think if you go into the last race or last couple of races, or even when you get into now, if you're still close and people are still close to you and all that, certainly it's it's more difficult, you know, not to think about it, or, you know, more people ask you about it, more people talk about it, all that kind of stuff. So it's probably a little bit harder to block out of your mind, but they all are equally as important. I think it's, you know, at this point, as I'm about Talladega, I think it's important to get it behind you, look at what's in front of you, you know, but certainly it's hard not to, for me anyway, it's hard not to fret over any loss points, no matter which week it is, because like I say, they all count toward your total at the end of the year. So, but yeah, I mean, I think, you know, we're fortunate to still be, you know, still up toward the top and have a real good, legitimate shot. You know, probably can't help but to think about it a little bit more than what you would when it starts.
Do you hang on to bad weekends in your mind?
No, well, yes and no. I mean, not, you know, not after, you know, you start getting in the track and start preparing for the next week. I mean, you get it out of your mind, but certainly I think, you know, you'll always look back, or when you get ready to go there in the spring, or what have you, you can't help but think about it a little bit. You know, you think, you know, going back to Talladega, I thought a lot about the spring race all the way down to the race and didn't get to win, finished 8th. It was super disappointing. And this one was almost worse. So, you know, but plate racing is just so different. You know, it's just, there's so many things that are out of your control. And, you know, I thought we had one of the faster cars, but, you know, everybody's going to ride up in the line, and nobody will, you know, you can't get enough cars to go down and try to make a move. You can't do anything by yourself. You can't do anything with 3 or 4 cars. You need at least 5 or 6. So that racing's always been frustrating.
John Stark.
Yeah, John Sturgeon, RacingToday.com. And Kansas, Goodyear brought this dual compound tire. They caused a lot of store before it. Is that the tire they're going to bring here? Is that the tire you were testing, or was it?
No, I wasn't testing tires. We were running the same tire we ran here last time. There was no tire. This isn't tire test. It's just a team test. So they already had the tires picked out for what they're going to run here. So no, thankfully we're not running the tire we ran in Kansas.
What tire blew today?
What tire?
Yeah, which right front or left?
Oh, right front.
Right.
Any more questions for Matt?
Matt, were you in the car you were planning to drive here, obviously, or was it a different car? Was it,
No.
so it wasn't the one?
She's at home safe, ready to get to the track.
You mentioned though there was some good and bad. Talk about the good of today before.
What?
The good of today. You said you had some ups and downs. Talk about the ups and downs.
Well, like a typical test or practice session, I think you stumble on some things that you like how they feel, and maybe add some speed to your car and help the balance, and then you go through a lot more things than that you don't like, and you kind of discard and put off to the back. So I think you go through a lot of stuff. You go through a lot of stuff pretty fast, really, until you get to go through the data and run logs and look at it and think about it and do all that. You probably pick out exactly what you're going to do when you come back yet.
So many laps did you get in?
And laps did I get in?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know. We ran quite a bit.
Stan?
Matt, was this the car you were going to race, and how badly?
He wasn't listening. He just asked me that. No, it's not. The car we're going to race, that one's in the home safe, right?
Okay, I was thinking
Okay.
so. Okay.
Yeah, it's not.
Over here.
Are you conscious of all of Stephen Jones' success, history of success that comes to accident chase?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think anybody is. He can win.
Does that affect your, the
Every
reason I was
practice.
asking, does that affect your planning, your strategy, how you approach these races?
No. I mean, I think, I realized when we started the chase, and I realized when we started the season, and I realized it for years, that if you're going to have a shot at championship, you got to beat the 48. You know, if they don't have any kind of problems, he's capable of winning each and every week. You got to go out and win races, and you know, you got to figure out how to beat him head to head. If nobody has problems, that's the only way you're going to win the championship. So it's been that way for 7 or 8 years.
Any more questions for Matt? Got to clarify, Matt, you got the test yesterday afternoon into the evening, right?
Yeah, we tested all night last night, and today we're planning on leaving today after 4 anyway to go back and get ready for Martinsville, and plus we got a homestead test next week, so we got everything done.
Everyone good?
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, man. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Appreciate it.